Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to News 3 Now, live at 4 on this Wednesday, another chilly June day.
Rainy days and Wednesdays.
Absolutely, but the gardens are growing well.
That's right.
I mean, all this wet weather.
And a little later this hour, we're going to be taking your calls live for Lisa Briggs from the Bruce Company. We'll let you know when it's time to call in.
But first, here's what's making news on this Wednesday. Search crews are at the Wisconsin River trying to recover the body of a child who went missing yesterday afternoon.
If you're on the far west side the next few days, you could run into some traffic with the AmFam Championship. Our Adam Duxter is live with what you can expect. And the United Nations recommends an investigation of Saudi Arabia's crown prince after the killing of a Washington Post journalist last year. We'll have the latest news from Washington. So let's take a look outside. Wednesday farmers market. Downtown, just down from the Capitol.
The weather words, a few more raindrops. And we'll get the complete weather in just a bit. But first, let's take a live look right now. This is I-4194 in Racine County. The road is still closed to traffic after a deadly crash late this morning. At least 2 people are dead after the crash and multiple others were injured. Now, this is video from early this afternoon. It shows a semi that exploded after a crash near the town of Caledonia. Witnesses say they heard an explosion and they saw what looked like a mushroom cloud of smoke. The road is still closed at this hour. And we will go to a live news conference from the Racine County Sheriff when that starts, and that'll be in just a few minutes. In other news today, the Adams County Sheriff's Office tells us divers are still out searching for a child who went missing while swimming in the river in the Dells. They're calling it a rescue mission, and they're holding out hope that they can find this child. Our Jamie Perez joins us from the river where divers are continuing their search efforts. Jamie?
Well, this is actually the area where divers have been coming in and out all day. You can actually still see a couple of them sitting here behind me. Now, they started their search last night after they heard about a child who went into the river but never came back up to the surface. So the divers continued their search around 8 o'clock this morning. They have about 15 divers out at a time looking for this child. The age and gender have not yet been released. The Adams County Sheriff said this river is no joke. Surface temperature is about 56 degrees, and the current beneath the surface moves at about 17,000 cubic feet per second with about 2 feet of visibility under that water. The river is about 25 feet deep. Now, despite the power of the river, the Sheriff's Office is still hoping they can find the child soon.
It's very sad for everyone involved, especially the family, to have to stand and wait for us to recover the child.
Sheriff Brent Yorks added that dive teams from other counties may have to come in to assist if their search efforts continue over the next several days. Now, I spoke to a man earlier who actually lives right on this shoreline here on the river, who says over the past 18 years he's gotten to know this river well and knows just how powerful this river can be. So coming up tonight on News 3 Now at 5 and 6, we will hear from him.
Jamie Perez reporting live in Wisconsin Dells. Jamie, thank you. And a toddler is recovering in the hospital after a serious farming accident in Grant County. First responders were called out to a home on Union Road in Platteville around 7 o'clock last night. A man was in the barn and turned to shut off a conveyor when his 20-month-old son fell into it. The boy has serious injuries to his right arm, his shoulder, hands, and chest. The incident has been determined accidental. And there's a reward for information leading to the arrest of a person responsible for the death of a Racine police officer. John Hetland was killed Monday night when an armed robbery was attempted at a bar in Racine. Hetland was off duty but tried to intervene and was fatally shot. The Kenosha Sheriff's Department has released this photo of the suspect. The FBI is offering a $20,000 reward for information that leads to an arrest. The Andis Corporation of Racine is also offering an additional $5,000 reward. Anyone with information related to the crime asked to call Crime Stoppers there at 262-636-9330. Well, thousands of visitors are expected to come to the American Family Golf Championships this weekend in Madison. But before they can get to the course, they'll have to get past the construction, and that's where we find our Adam Duxter, who joins us with what golf fans need to know headed out to the weekend. Adam?
Well, Mark and Susan, construction here along County Road M and County Road PD has been going on for quite some time, but we'll be taking a bit of a break coming up this weekend as the golfers and the golf fans are headed in for the AmFam festivities. And that break will start this Friday and go all the way till this next coming Monday. And the City of Madison Engineering Division said that the break is designed to keep the construction workers safe with all the extra fans coming in town for the weekend. The tournament's director says if you're heading in to still give yourself a lot of extra time, but with 25,000 people expected to come into town, it might be tough to see how long those delays could be.
It's tough to say at this point. We're expecting large crowds. It could certainly be based on the time of day that you choose to come to the golf course, but just allowing extra time. If you arrive to the golf course early, that's even more enjoyable. You get to watch a little extra golf, but everybody should just plan ahead for that.
Now, this construction project is slated to be done in November of this year, and the city's engineers say, as of right now, it's still on track to be done at that time. And both the city's engineers and this tournament's director say they're already looking forward to next year when this construction is done and how nice and smooth things will be then.
Aren't we all? I think we are, indeed. Adam Duxter reporting live from the city's west side. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Adam. A UN investigator is pointing a finger at Saudi Arabia's powerful crown prince for the killing of a Saudi journalist. A United Nations report released today claims credible evidence that links Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman to the death of Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi. Khashoggi visited the Saudi consulate in Istanbul last year to get a marriage license and was never seen again.
The people directly implicated in the murder reported to him. So there is a reporting line here that needs to be further investigated.
Khashoggi had been a prominent critic of the Saudi Crown Prince. The Saudis have repeatedly denied that the Crown Prince was behind the murder, instead blaming 11 rogue Saudi operators, many in his inner circle. President Trump attended a fundraiser this morning near Miami as his campaign for re-election has officially begun. The president officially kicked off his run for re-election last night with a new slogan and a warning of what will happen if he loses.
Our radical Democrat opponents are driven by hatred, prejudice, and rage. They want to destroy you, and they want to destroy our country as we know it.
President Trump's campaign manager is predicting Mr. Trump will win even more electoral votes than in 2016, an electoral landslide, he says, dismissing independent polling that shows the president trailing top Democrats. And one of President Trump's most trusted former aides is on Capitol Hill today facing lawmakers' questions about Special Counsel Robert Mueller's report. Former White House Communications Director Hope Hicks testified behind closed doors, and it's unclear how much she'll say. Hicks was present during many of the key moments as Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigated, especially those questions surrounding obstruction of justice. The House Judiciary Committee is also expected to ask her about hush money payments that President's former personal attorney made to an adult film actress, that's Stormy Daniels. Coming up next, when Live at 4 continues, new research says the number of suicides inside America's prisons are growing. We'll find out why and what experts say needs to be done to slow that trend. That's when Live at 4 continues.
At the top of this program, we told you about a terrible accident on I-41-94 near Racine this morning. 2 people are dead in that accident. And we're going to go live now to a news conference where the Racine County Sheriff, Christopher Smalling, is updating reporters.
At this point, it's still under investigation. We are looking at approximately 3.5 to 4 hours yet before our interstate system is open to our motoring public. And we ask at this time for our community to have some understanding and patience as we go through this in a very thorough and methodical approach to this investigation, so we can answer to our community what occurred, how it occurred, and for those who might be responsible. I also want to extend our deepest condolences to those who lost their lives today and those who are seriously injured. Our thoughts and prayers go out to their families. With that said, we'll entertain any questions you may have.
Can you tell us, Sheriff, anything about the drivers, male, where they from, anything like that?
Unfortunately, I don't have that information for you. Again, this is very, very early in the investigation, and the identifications have yet to be made, and family notification, as you can imagine, is priority 1 for us.
Can you tell us if
anything improper about how the construction zone was aligned that may have led to this accident?
Well, there's no secret. I-94 is under extreme construction. We've been experiencing a lot of crashes, as you can imagine. I've talked to all of you about this before. We're asking for our commuters, this accident aside, slow down, be aware of your surroundings, removing distractions, making this lane change. I can't speak for this gentleman. He is passed. But he did make a lane change. He did make a mistake. Obviously, he hit a construction barrier, causing him to overcorrect. These are interstate speeds we're talking about. And ultimately, it cost him his life and the life of another human being. And I hope and pray that the lives of the others that are right now in the hospital getting care don't lose their lives as well. It just underscores the importance how we need to slow down, pay attention, and be aware of our surroundings when we're under construction.
That was Racine County Sheriff Christopher Smalling recapping the accident on I-41-94 this morning.
2 semis involved. The drivers of both of those semis have died, and 3 cars were also involved in the accident, but no word yet on the injuries involved in the people in the cars.
And as I mentioned, it's a heavy construction zone, as our current 90-94 here, so right. Slow down in the construction zones.
The road is closed right now, and I think the sheriff said it might be another day before the road is open.
So avoid that area. All right, in other news, current and former pilots are testifying today before a House panel looking into Boeing and the 737 MAX airliner.
The aircrafts remain grounded following 2 deadly crashes overseas. Retired pilot Captain Sully Sullenberger, who safely made an emergency landing on the Hudson River in 2009, told members of Congress that pilots should be required to get new simulator training before the Boeing 737 MAX is returned to service. The FAA is reviewing software changes made by Boeing engineers aimed at fixing the problem. In a show of confidence for Boeing, International Airlines Group, the company that owns British Airways and other carriers, announced it will buy 200 of Boeing's 737 MAX jets.
The Federal Reserve has announced interest rates will stay the same for the time being. It was widely expected federal officials would not change the rates. Officials said they're committed to acting appropriately to sustain the expansion of the U.S. economy. And that news led to some positive returns on Wall Street. The Dow Industrials gained 38 points. Closing at 26,504. The NASDAQ Composite Index added 33. The S&P 500 was up 8.
The number of inmate suicides in this country has become a growing problem.
Jails across the country are being sued. People with mental illness are dying on an almost daily basis. Surveillance footage shows an inmate return repeatedly to a closet unlocked by a guard. On his next visit, he hangs himself. Devin Lynch, a 26-year-old former Marine, died at the Cook County Jail in 2016. His family sued the county and in April received a $1.7 million settlement. Lynch's death highlights a disturbing trend. Inmate suicides have become a growing problem in many U.S. jails as more mentally ill and drug-addicted people land behind bars.
This problem has never been as bad as it is today. Jails across the country are being sued. People with mental illness are dying on an almost daily basis.
Jail suicides hit a high of 50 deaths for every 100,000 inmates in 2014. That's the latest year of government data. The Associated Press and the University of Maryland's Capital News Service examined hundreds of lawsuits involving allegations of mistreatment and the suicide of mentally ill inmates at local jails over the past 5 years. In case after case, jails are accused of refusing inmates medication, ignoring cries for help, imposing harsh conditions, and failing to monitor inmates who might harm themselves.
She had so much more to live for and so much left to do.
Melanie Zumadakis' daughter suffered from mental illness. Tana Jo Fillmore was arrested in November of 2016 for violating probation in a drug case. Her family says while in jail, she was denied her prescription medications despite repeated pleas and threats of suicide. On the 9th day, she hanged herself with a bedsheet. The Duchesne County Sheriff declined to discuss the case due to a pending lawsuit.
I want to see change in these jails. I don't want any other parent to do this.
This has a special moment.
In Dane Schickman's case, a son lost his mother. Elizabeth Gaunt, who had a history of mental illness and substance abuse, was acting erratically when she was taken to the Lake County Jail in Northern California in 2015. The 56-year-old former social worker was placed in a sobering cell with a surveillance camera, and she was supposed to be checked every 15 minutes.
She begged multiple times over the course of hours for a medical doctor, for help, and no one in the jail had the humanity to step up or lift a finger to help her.
After 25 hours, she tore a blanket into strips and took her own life. The county settled a wrongful death lawsuit for $2 million.
I don't want to see anybody die under my watch, whether it's somebody that's in custody, whether it's a member of our community. Like I said, I take my obligation, and then my employees take their obligation to make sure that people come in here and they're safe when they're here.
After Gaunt's death, the jail installed larger surveillance monitors, replaced blankets with tear-resistant ones, increased suicide prevention training for staff, and added a registered nurse, among other reforms. John Schnook of the Treatment Advocacy Center applauds jailers for taking action, but calls it a Band-Aid on a gaping wound.
So the reality, if you want to fix a jail, build more hospital beds.
We'll never give up the fight.
With fewer psychiatric hospitals left in the country, any solution comes too late for parents like Melanie Zumadakis.
Yeah, it's quite tragic. Yeah, I think this is a story a lot of people don't even know about.
A lot more on this to come, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, when Live at 4 continues, endometriosis affects about 10% of women struggling to get pregnant.
Up next, we'll introduce you to one woman who overcame the odds. That's when Live at 4 continues.
Well, take a look at this. A group of fishermen in New Jersey are calling it a once-in-a-lifetime event. A massive shark, estimated at 16 feet long, swam right up to their boat during a fishing tournament and began attacking a chum bag. Even for these seasoned fishermen, this was an awesome sight to see. Marine experts have confirmed it was indeed an adult great white. Now that's a fish story.
It was this big.
No, they didn't reel it in, right?
No,
they just let it go.
No.
It wasn't caught on anything.
Okay, good.
Those reels could sustain the shark. Oh man, that's crazy.
I think we need a bigger boat.
They got some great video.
They got some very cool video.
Even underwater.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
How'd they get that video? Who was under the boat?
These guys are from New Jersey, you know, that's a different breed.
Yeah, it was very interesting. No sharks for us around here, thankfully.
But rain.
We
got that.
We did get that today, unfortunately, and we do have a slight chance, especially south of Madison, to see a few more raindrops come on through. We'll take a closer look at what's ahead for the next few days with this rain right after the break. Right now it's still pretty cloudy outside with a few raindrops falling depending on which corner you may be at. Some areas dodging the rain, some areas seeing just a little more today. Of course, about 10 degrees below average, close to 68 for us. Most of the rain kind of ended, not ruling out the chance though to see a few more drizzle spots, and again a few more showers might be seen along the Illinois state line for us. As that system continues to pull further south though, most of the strong storms are staying towards central Illinois and Indiana. We have some high pressure to the north that's going to help push that rain a little further south. So it's 65 currently in Madison, close to 80 though in La Crosse, and 74 in Marshallfield. They're got a little clearer sky, so they've got a little more higher temperatures for us, but it is a lot cooler for us in southern Wisconsin. Our dew point's close to 60 right now, so it does feel a little humid for us outside. Not too bad. but you'll notice that if you step out, it just feels like it's going to be a cloudy, rainy day. Looking ahead to our overnight hours, all this rain again ending for us just in the next few hours, most of it just staying along the state line. Heading into your Thursday, plan on a partly sunny sky, and then by Friday will steadily become mostly cloudy with our rain chances building in Friday night, and they will be sliding in throughout Saturday. Saturday, we're looking at scattered showers and maybe a few thunderstorms for us. As far as severe potential for today, again, those storms staying far to the south. For Thursday, the storms will stay to the west, and then by Friday, we do have a marginal risk for some storms to pop up later in the evening for the southwest corner of the state, and all of that risk is going to shift in for us heading into our Saturday. So we'll be keeping a close eye on some storm chances to develop for us Saturday. Isolated showers possible tonight along the state line. By Thursday morning, temps will fall to the middle 50s. Pretty seasonal start today in the afternoon with a little bit of sun. We'll be in the middle 70s for our afternoon highs. We still have that breeze, though, coming from the north. It's a little below average, but not as cool as we are today. Friday, again, starting off with a little bit of sun, but then becoming mostly cloudy in the afternoon, and those shower and storm chances developing for us in the evening and overnight. 55 for our overnight low in Madison. Mostly cloudy skies, and these shower chances are wrapping up for us. We aren't expecting anything new to develop or move in overnight. And if you do have any evening plans, you may feel a raindrop or two, but should be just fine. Tomorrow, looking at a high of 74 with a variably cloudy sky. And again, a slight chance for an afternoon or evening shower. Not a great chance for us tomorrow, though. Mid-70s for Thursday and Friday. Both days, those slight chances for showers in the afternoon, and the chances increasing later on Friday night. Saturday and Sunday, scattered showers and thunderstorms. Temperature-wise, will be close to 80 both days. It's also going to be pretty muggy outside for Saturday and Sunday. We're looking at a little bit of a humidity jump for the weekend. Next week, it does look like we're going to be moving into a drier direction, which is nice for us. A lot of rain chances shifting further away. Temperature-wise, we're also going to be just a little closer to average. So next week looks a little more summery for us, which is fitting since we'll be wrapping up spring here on Friday and heading right into summer.
All right. So not a washout this weekend.
Not a washout this weekend. We could see, especially along the state line, the Illinois state line in the southwest corner of the state, close maybe an inch or an inch and a half of rain coming on through, but it's not going to be any widespread big rain coming in.
All right. Very good.
Thanks, Dana. Yeah.
Endometriosis is a disease that affects about 10% of women in their reproductive years, and about half of them have fertility problems.
The disease has a range of symptoms, and there is no blood imaging test, so it can take years to get the right diagnosis.
Dr. Tara Narula introduces us to a woman who struggled with infertility because of the disease.
Beautiful. Georgie Kovacs Barden's path to motherhood spanned 3 years and 12 fertility treatments before she gave birth to her 3-year-old son, Connor. At age 40, after seeing 10 doctors, she finally learned why she had difficulty getting pregnant.
When you were told you had endometriosis, what was your reaction? Thank you for giving me a diagnosis. In my gut, I knew. I said, once we figure out the underlying cause, I will get pregnant.
For many women like Georgie, the only sign of endometriosis is infertility, but most patients have severe pain during their menstrual cycle. Endometriosis occurs when tissue similar to the lining of the uterus appears outside the uterine cavity, scattered throughout the pelvis and abdomen. Researchers are still working to understand how this happens.
The lag time between onset of symptoms and diagnosis is usually anywhere from 8 to 10 years.
Dr. Arnold Advincula performs the minimally invasive surgery required to diagnose and remove the telltale lesions that interfere with getting pregnant and disrupt women's lives.
Women are plagued with chronic pain symptoms, and also affects women at a time in their life when they're trying to have a family.
We're taught from a very young age to ignore this part of our body.
After struggling with endometriosis for decades, Columbia University researcher Noemi El-Haddad developed a smartphone app to track symptoms and gain a better understanding of the disease.
Was it hard to sleep, to get out of bed?
Data collected from 9,000 women so far shows that women can have pain outside the time of their menstrual period. And symptoms can include things like low back pain, ringing in the ears, bowel and bladder problems, and even chest pain.
We can't help them yet with relief, but at least we can give them the validation and the better communication tools.
Removing lesions with laparoscopic surgery is still considered the best treatment option.
However, many women may also be treated with hormones, oral contraceptives, painkillers, even in hysterectomy.
Still to come tonight at 4, every spring students and teachers head out for summer vacation.
Next at 4, we'll meet an elementary school teacher from Cambridge who is stepping away after decades in the classroom. That's this month's top-notch teacher next.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4.
Welcome back. We receive a lot of top-notch teacher nominations for educators who are retiring at the end of the 2018-2019 school year.
While we couldn't profile them all, we wish we could. Charlotte DeLeste and photojournalist Kathy King spent an afternoon in Cambridge with Dean Smithback, who is very grateful for the education he's received all the way to his last day.
Be kind, be humble, work hard.
That describes Dean Smithback to a T, but this is actually the advice he has for every student he's ever had.
I think one of the reasons it doesn't seem like 38 years for me.
38 years. That's how long he's been teaching in places like Sullivan, Wisconsin, Cartagena, Colombia.
I do remember my first day in South America. That was terrifying because I didn't speak Spanish and I still don't speak it.
Texas, and the last 25 years here at Cambridge Elementary.
Yeah, I never thought I would ever get back to my hometown.
The Cambridge native has taught 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grades during his career.
I mean, there's nothing that compares to working with kids. I mean, there really isn't.
The call to become an educator and the pearls of wisdom to share, you can say, came naturally.
If you look at the kids and you think, if these were my children, what would you want me doing in the classroom?
Mr. Smithback has taught every subject in elementary school, but it's the lessons on being a good person that has always been at the top of his curriculum year after year.
We talk about the academics, but those don't do you any good if you don't have any people skills. And if you can't treat people the way that they should be treated, the education part is probably not going to do you a whole lot of good.
And the humble person that he is, he's not one to take any credit for what he's done for the past nearly 4 decades, and is the first to admit that he's not perfect.
There's always things that you can get better at, and I've made mistakes and learned from them.
Which brings us to what inspires him to be a top-notch teacher.
The real draw to me is that when you see people who are passionate about what they do, it just makes you want to work as hard as they are. The 25 years that I've been here have been spectacular. I have worked with phenomenal people. I've had
Between his colleagues and students, Mr. Smithback has received his own education.
It's been very humbling. It's made me more patient, more forgiving. There's a lot of humility. It's the greatest profession. I can't imagine having done anything else.
Dean, congratulations and best of luck in retirement. If you'd like to recommend a top-notch teacher, you can head to our website, channel3000.com. We have all of the information under the Education tab.
Quite a career.
Yeah.
Congratulations again. Well, it's time to get your plant and garden questions answered. The number to call, 270-9933.
There she is. Lisa Briggs is standing by at the Bruce Company in Middleton. She will take your calls when Live at 4 continues. We'll be right back.
right now, of course, we have a lot of delays along the Beltline. We do have a live look still at 41 and 90 right at County Highway A. Of course, everyone being asked by the Sheriff's Department to avoid that area in Racine County right now. Along the Beltline, the eastbound side, seeing some major delays, those speeds down to about 20 miles per hour in some areas. Some people getting lucky a little closer to 30 miles per hour along the westbound side. Those speeds slow down around Fish Hatchery Road and then pick back up. The Isthmus, we have some delays heading in to downtown on John Nolan, and then those speeds get a little better as you get on those side roads. It'll take you about 28 minutes to get from Janesville to the Beltline, 17 minutes to get from Sauk City to Middleton, and then from Sun Prairie to downtown. Should be a quick 15-minute drive for you this evening. That's a quick look at traffic.
Thank you, Dana. This 103-year-old runner from Louisiana isn't slowing down anytime soon. This is Julia Hawkins. She didn't start running until she was 101. But since then, she has really made a name for herself. She broke the world record for her age group. And actually, her name is a nickname. It's Hurricane Hawkins. I love that. She recently competed in the Senior Games in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where she set a new world record for the 50-meter dash and took gold in the 100-meter dash. She says she wants everyone to know it is never too late to get moving.
She started at 101.
Now, if that's not the most inspiring thing you've ever seen.
Absolutely.
Good for her.
Good for her. Hurricane.
No, well, I have no more excuses now to start running, apparently.
Or you can wait for 40 years or whatever. All right, it's time to get your garden questions answered. Lisa Briggs from the Bruce Company is taking your calls at 270-9933. She's joined us live now. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi, guys. I only run if I'm being chased. That's my motto.
That's a good motto. We got the calls already lined up. We'll start with Chris in Madison. Hi, Chris.
Hi, how are you?
Good. What's your question?
I'm fine.
Hi. I have some gnats flying around my houseplants, and I'm looking for a non-toxic solution to put on to get rid of them.
Okay, so what you probably have are fungus gnats. And when you have houseplants that maybe have some of that mossy covering over the soil or a little bit of bark, they're kind of hanging out in the decomposing soil. They're not going to hurt your houseplants at all, but you can get by Bayer a little capsule that's a systemic fungicide and put it right in the soil, and that will take care of it.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, very good. Let's go to Chris from Grand Marsh. Hi, Chris. What's your question?
Hi. I was wondering, when can you transplant lilacs?
Okay. The best time to transplant lilacs is in the early spring before they really start to leaf out. So if you've got some big ones that you're working on for next year, you're going to maybe want to do a little cutting back of them this fall to get them ready and easier to move in the spring.
All right, let's go to Jonah now in Janesville. Hi, what's your question?
Hi, yes, I'm working in a neighbor's yard trying to bring it back up to Skippy. And I was wondering the best time to dig up and transplant bulbs. I have found all these bulbs in the yard that were hidden by tall grass and weeds. And I think it's tulips and lilies.
Do they have any leaves on them?
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you're going to want to leave them growing until that foliage starts to yellow, because that's how they're going to store energy to flower next year. And then you can either dig them up and replant them right away, or you can dig them up and put them in a box of peat moss or something and then replant them, you know, end of September, early October. Either way.
Okay. Okay, great. And by the way, a natural way to get rid of rabbits.
A natural way to get rid of rabbits.
Yeah, the lilies bloom in my yard and then boom, they get eaten.
Yes. You might want to try a predator urine. So that would be a bottle of, say, coyote urine. You put it on a little cotton ball and put it in and around the plants. And you might smell it for a few hours, but the rabbits will smell it for a long time, and it will help to keep them away.
You have to reapply it after it rains?
After a heavy rain, yeah, you should probably reapply it. And you can get it in the garden center here.
I was just going to say, where do you buy coyote urine?
Coyote urine store.
We have coyote, fox, several.
Whatever. Oh, good to know. All right, let's go to Karen from Wyoda. Hi, Karen. What's your question?
Hi. Yes, I have a huge lilac bush, and it really bloomed last year and was very pretty. This year, it didn't have one blossom on it, and I was just wondering, can I cut it back anytime now and reshape it, or what would your recommendation be on this?
So one of the couple of reasons lilacs don't bloom is they're not getting enough sun, or you've pruned them at the improper time. So if you did some cutting back like late last summer or the fall, you probably cut off your flowers for this year.
No,
so
I
what
didn't.
you want to do, okay.
You didn't.
Any pruning that you want to do it right after the lilacs are done flowering, so you can prune any time now.
Okay, I'll try that, and thank you.
Okay, thanks for calling.
Thank you for calling.
All right, let's go to Marilyn in Monona. Hi, Marilyn.
Hi. I have a burning bush that suffered a lot of damage this past winter. It's about 8 feet tall, and about half of the stalks appear to be dead. How would you recommend pruning that?
I think that with the burning bush, what it was first we had all that super wet weather late last summer, which they hate, and then we had the polar vortex. So it's kind of a 1-2 punch, and you'll see all over town that they're looking really bad. If you've got growth coming up from the base, which a lot of them are, just cut out everything that's dead, give it a shape, and in a couple of years it will start looking really good again.
Yeah, they're wrecked all over the town, all over town.
That's true.
All over, yes.
Okay, let's go to Lori from Mount Horeb. Hi, Lori, what's your question?
Lori?
Yeah,
okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I have new lilies that are like that. They're 3 different heights: the tree lily, medium, and little. How many years does it take to get like to your knee or higher?
Well, it depends on the variety. Some of them are meant to stay short. So if you have some dwarf varieties, they won't really get much taller than they are right now. As far as the clumps getting bigger, I always say the first year it sleeps, the second year it creeps, and the third year it leaps. It's going to be a couple of years before they start putting on a lot of growth.
What was that again?
I had never heard that before.
Sleep, creep, leap.
All right.
That's a good way to remember it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to Jean from Edgerton. Hi, Jean, what's your question?
Yes, we have a shaded brick patio, and the moss is growing up in between the bricks. Just wondering what we could use to get rid of that.
There are some mossicide products on the market that you can spray, and it will kill the moss. But you have an underlying problem, which is that it's cool and damp and shady, and so moss is going to want to grow there. If your patio is shady, you can maybe thin out the canopy of the trees that are over it and let a little sunlight in. The damp stuff you can't really do much about. But you can apply, it's basically a herbicide that's formulated for moss.
Yeah, a lot of moss everywhere this year, it seems.
Well, especially this year because it's been so wet and cool, which moss really likes.
For it. Yep.
All right, well, next week maybe we'll burn some of that off. It's going to be warm and humid. All right, Lisa, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for calling in. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Lisa. Thanks for your calls, everybody.
And we'll have a final check of your forecast coming up. The clouds hang around.
The clouds are hanging around. Unfortunately, areas in central and northern Wisconsin, they're getting a little more sun right now. In fact, as we look at our visible cloud track, you'll notice southern Wisconsin's really thick with the cloud coverage currently. That's brought a little bit of rain for us today. Some isolated drizzle spots possible throughout the rest of the evening, but most of the rain again staying to the south. Temperature-wise, it is a little cool outside. We're at 65 in Madison. Notice, though, where we do see a little more sun towards the Dells at about 72 right now. Black River Falls closer to 76 and about 62, though, in Monroe. Those dew points near 60 also for us in Madison, Monroe, at about 65 in Bladville. So that does mean it feels just a little muggy outside for us. And the breeze, you're also going to notice that anywhere from 5 to 10 miles per hour, but it's coming from the northeast, so that is cooler air that's moving on in. As far as the next few hours are concerned, temperature-wise, plan on us cooling down even more so from here. Probably not going to hit that 70 mark at 6 o'clock, I wouldn't imagine, but the cloud coverage is going to stay around for us.
You have to warm up in a hurry.
Yeah, or jump up real quick and then roll back down. So.
But still muggy out there.
Still just a little humid, just enough that you can notice that it feels like it could start raining.
Yeah.
Is that feeling right
Feels
now?
like rain.
It probably will.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Dana.
Tomorrow here on Live at 4, we'll find out what's happening in the 608 this weekend.
And we'll find out why legendary Madison sports announcer Paul Brown has a special stake in this weekend's PGA tournament. That's coming up tomorrow on Live at 4. In today's Final Touch, you've probably heard of the hot tub time machine.
How about a floating hot tub raft? That's exactly what a Finnish inventor and his friends have concocted. In fact, they sailed a self-made floating hot tub raft across the Gulf of Finland, traveling from Helsinki to Tallinn in just over 10 hours.